What is up, guys? It's been a very long time. So today, as you guys can see by the title, I'm gonna teach you guys how to edit the photos. Now keep in mind, this is not the right or wrong way. It's just, in my opinion, my way, the way I like to edit the photos. And keep in mind too that you don't need Lightroom or Photoshop for this concept, because we're only gonna talk about the basics. Because Instagram and your phone already has these settings to edit your photos, so you don't need these fancy programs to edit your photos like this. But let's get right into it. So now, as you guys can see, this photo is advanced edit, so we're not gonna talk about that today, because that is just on advanced level and that's gonna take a longer video. So this is just gonna be the basics. So we're gonna start with the photo like it was from the start. So now as you guys can see, it's pretty dark, you can't see anything. So before we start with this video, you have to know some things before you edit your photos. So the first thing is the temperature, the color tones, exposure, contrast, highlights, shadows, whites and blacks, and clarity, and as it's called sometimes, structure. So we're gonna start with exposure. So we're gonna start with exposure, and what the exposure does, it lightens up the picture so you can see more of the colors and the details. And in my opinion, I like to take my pictures a little bit dark, because it's more easier to get detail when a picture is more dark. But I'm gonna explain that in another video, because that's at advanced level too. But I would recommend to take your picture a little bit dark, not like this, but just a little bit. So we're gonna start by bump up the exposure until you can clearly see the picture. Not too much, not too bright, but if you like it like this, some people actually like this bright, but I kind of just like it to the point where you can see all the details and stuff. So now the photo is pretty lit up, and now we're gonna mess with the highlights. Now the highlights is the lightest point of the picture, kind of like the sky and a little bit of the background. So what I like to do sometimes is to turn down the highlights so you can see the sky, but by turning down the highlights, you're also turning down a little bit of the exposure, but you can compensate that by bumping up the shadows, and the shadow is the dark places in the picture. So by turning that up, you get a little bit brighter picture and more detail too. So you can see now the details on the tree. Now I don't think we have to mess more with this, because I think it's perfect now. But the last thing what I like to do is called clarity, or on Instagram it's called structure. And that brings us even more of the detail of the picture. So I like to turn that up just to give it a little bit more of a realistic feeling. So now you can see it's more detailed and stuff. But now you're probably wondering, is that it? No, it's not really. But the last thing we're gonna mess with is the temperature and the color tone. So the temperature is in my opinion, the most important thing about a picture. It decides the picture's mood. So if the temperature on the picture is really warm, it gets really moody and happy, and more like a tone vibe feeling. But if the picture is cold, it gets a little bit more dark and sad and depressed feeling. But I like to have my picture warm, or it depends of like the season of the year. So sometimes I like to have them warm when it's like summer and what's it called? I have to Google this shit. I have to Google what's it called? Yeah, autumn. When it's autumn and summer, I like to have them warm. But when it's winter, I like it to have a little bit more cold, because I like to adapt my picture to the weather. So yeah. So let's turn up the temperature a little bit. Well, we can have it. I think we go with the warm feeling. So that's pretty much it. I think that's a good picture. So let's see before and after. As you guys can see, it's a huge difference. Like, you don't need more. No, this is, in my opinion, a perfect Instagram photo. At least this is how I started it, because I went from 0 to advanced really quick, and that was like a mistake because I couldn't find mine, my style, because I was just copying others. But in my opinion, it's good to copy people, because then you realize that it's not really your style, so you will go back to the basics and try out not things. Try. Then you realize that it's not really your style, so you go and try other stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys learned something. In the next video, I think I'm gonna teach you something about video editing, so the basics of video editing. But if you guys want the advanced tutorial of photo editing, so you guys can get your photos like my photos I have on Instagram, leave it a like and a comment, and I will see you guys on the next video.